Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are joined here by Collette Oswald. Excited to have her here. She's a professional organizer and so much more. The name of the company is called Organizing by Oz. She's based out of Calgary, Alberta, and we're excited to have her here to talk about the in-home organizing she can do. Also, the do-it-yourself online virtual courses she could do, let alone workbooks, e-courses, and so much more. Please, first and foremost, welcome to the show, Collette. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, Jill. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you. By the way, what time is it where you are in Calgary?
Around 7:30 a.m.
Oh, so it's really early. So super early morning to you. Well, excited to have you here. Please introduce yourself and company to our listeners and viewers today.
Well, welcome everyone. My name is Collette Oswald, and as Jill said, I live in Calgary, but I do lots of virtual organizing around the world. So I help individuals and families get their homes organized, get into routines, and I also help workplace accommodations because I specialize in neurodiversity, so ADHD and autism. And because I have ADHD myself, I really try and help my clients get routines that work for life and business. So that's kind of what I focus on
And
the
how can we
most.
reach out to you? Do you have a website, phone number?
Of course, you can reach me at www.organizingbyoz.com, or you can call me at 403-815-5598. Best way
Perfect.
to reach me, though, is through my website, because then you can set up a calendar 30-minute free consultation.
Oh, that's good to know. Well, let's find this out. Before we get to all the services that you offer, I know we're going to focus first on virtual organizing and then your e-courses, but tell us about you. How did you get involved in this field? So let's find out a little bit of your background, if you don't mind.
Sure. So I was that organized kid that had all her Lego in like color coding and like
God
little
bless
blocks.
you. I have a 6 and 8-year-old. I wish that was the case. Yep.
And all my books were alphabetized. And because I had to share a room with my brother, I had to be really good with my space. And so I think just growing up, I just became that organized kid. And then I was that friend you always called when you moved because I could organize the move and unpack you really quickly and efficiently. And it was fun and not like too stressful. And then I got into counseling. So my background is child and youth care counseling. And so for 20 plus years, I've been helping families just get organized in their and learn how to communicate better as a team. I really see families as a team, and as because we share spaces, we need to figure out how to get along like we do at a workplace. So I really transfer all those transferable skills from home into workplace and back and forth. And so 7 years ago, I started Organizing by Oz because I just love helping people get organized. And it's a passion of mine that I hope that I can continue doing and spreading. So I do have some subcontractors that work with me as well as the business expands. And again, just yeah, my all my friends, because I work full time too. I teach, and so
Oh,
people are
you
like,
do?
"How do
What do you
you?"
teach? What do you teach?
Yeah, so I teach social work actually. So all the new hires on child protection. So lots of things, but this is my passion area. And so people are like, how do you like work 12 hours a day? But I really love it. And I come home just energized because when you can help a family or an individual who's been really struggling with life changes, say they lost their job or their health changed and they need to accommodate like change their homes around, or they've started a blended family, like a new family's moved into theirs and oh my goodness, all that communication and chaos, or they've had a death or a separation, all those life transitions, like we need support around. We can't do things alone. And so sometimes I can come in and just help them during that crisis time, and then other times my clients have a lot of health concerns, and
Mhm.
so usually I come in quarterly and just help them get their space routines, seasonal changes, all of those things. So yeah, organizing isn't just a one and done. It's kind of a journey as your lifespan changes. And so counseling, because my degree's in child and youth care, it's all lifespan development. So I help clients as young as 2. Yes, I can get your kids involved as young as 2 into little routines and life skills. And my oldest client is 98. So I really get to do the whole lifespan of you first get into your new place, you partner up, you have kids, That might change, and then your career, and then all of a sudden your time management gets a little more challenging, and then health changes happen and life changes happen. And so I help people towards the end to moving into those retirement spaces and getting ready for their next transition.
Now, do you do any in-home personal work as well, in person, as well as the virtual side of things?
Yeah, so I do in person as well. For sure, because there's lots of people that just need that buddy. They need that buddy to like keep them accountable, keep them on task. And so some of my clients definitely need that. And anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, people are like, can you just come for the weekend and get it done? I'm like, you are going to be so exhausted and hate me. No, I'm not that organizer. Big for me, you can have organizers for sure that will come in and do that for you and have this beautiful home edit. I'm the organizer that's going to help you with the messy. So I work evenings and weekends on purpose because that's when everyone's grumpy after work and school. And I want people to get into routines that work for them when they're really tired or when their health has, flared up and they can't get out of bed. I want them to have 5, 10, 15-minute routines so that they're successful even on their worst days, right?
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing this. And I also want to point out now, you do offer a 5-step program. I was reading your website earlier, and I'm sure there's more to it. We can get to that. But I know first and foremost on the agenda for today, you mentioned virtual organizing. Let's talk about that and how people at home here, like in New York, for example, like me saying, how can I take part in that? That's what I need. Could I just take, Collette, just a side note here?
Yeah.
So for Thanksgiving yesterday, which I know you all don't celebrate in Canada, but I stayed home by myself. My dad came over later, but
Yeah.
when it was in my attic and I was organizing my attic because I have
Good
all the
for you.
Halloween decorations down in the hallway. I have a 6 and 8-year-old, chaos, and it's still not done. But I spent most of my day in my attic organizing bins, labeling, making them clear, putting everything together. My arms hurt today from lifting, and there's still a lot more to do, but I feel so mentally, I have this angst about my house because there's piles of stuff everywhere, toys, clothes, and we went to the shelter yesterday. We donated 30 bags of clothing. So I'm trying to purge and get rid of stuff. But the feeling of when your house and your things are organized, could you just share a little bit about that mental anguish that goes into it? Because so many people suffer with this, and it weighs on you when you have clutter. Could you just share some of that with us?
Yeah, Psychology Today actually just published this month an article on anxiety and clutter. So there's so much research showing that when we live in clutter and chaos, it actually causes anxiety and stress. But there's some people out there in the world, because I live with one, my daughter, who's clutter blind. She literally doesn't see it. And so when you're working with shared spaces like your kids, you see the mess, but they may not, or your partner may have a different organizing style. So when you're doing virtual organizing, I either do one-on-one for just 30 minutes or 60 minutes. So it works really great with busy families and busy professionals. Or I'll do a 30-minute session with one of the kiddos. So especially if we look at your 6 and 8-year-old, I'll probably only have 15 minutes of attention span with them. And so half of the time would be with one child, helping them organize one area of their room, for example, and the other 15 minutes would be helping the other child. Then you'd have a little bit of homework, which is maintaining that space we've done so that you're learning your organizing style, because everyone has different organizing styles and different needs. Some people like to see clear bins, like if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, so they need to see it. Other people can't stand seeing it and need it to be closed. So yeah, the great thing about doing that 30-minute consult is I get to kind of learn a little bit about you and your family, and then we can decide whether in person or virtual. And if it's 30 minutes or an hour, no more than that, because it's dedicated it's very focused time on one area of your home. So for example, you come home and the kitchen, for example, is multifaceted. It's no longer just for meal prep and eating. It's usually homework stations, family command stations, like you do your mail there, sometimes you work there. And so setting up those kind of things that you can grab a bin and pull it out and put it back away when you're finished so that that space is still clear. So that's kind of what virtual organizing is. It's similar to in person. I'm there, I'm coaching you, I'm doing it with you. When you're getting distracted, or I can tell that you're like, I don't want to do this, I'm like, let's do that together. So I always start with, where's your pain point today? Which area is like driving you mental or causing you the most anxiety when you walk into that space? Because we're going to tackle that today. And sometimes it's just, that front entrance way. Like right now in Calgary anyway, we have snow already and it's cold, but then it also goes to like 11 degree, or I can't remember your Fahrenheit, but it gets like 20 degrees warmer. And so we have to have two different seasons all the time. So if you have a busy family, sometimes that's like 8 coats or 8 pairs of shoes because of the weather changes. And so just helping families get those systems in place, or a busy professional who's traveling a lot and they're living out of their suitcase all the time, having like, their closets organized, or a go bag, so that if they have to jump on a plane, they have it all ready to go and they're not like buying last minute things.
Well,
I hope that
also,
makes sense.
let's talk. Of course, it does, and it's great to find this out. Let me ask you, if you don't mind, more about this now online course. How does it work? And would you mind sharing that process?
Sure. So I created a do-it-yourselfer because some of my clients are like, Colette, I love that you coach me one-on-one, and I love that I can
Mhm.
reach out to you when I need it, but I just want to get it done. And so, because I'm neurodiverse myself and I work with a lot of neurodiversity, my course is actually done in 15-minute blocks. So everything I do is to try and meet the busy parent out there who has like all these time management issues. So all the modules are 15 minutes. You can do some homework in between, and then you get me twice. So if you get stuck on a task, you can book an appointment and get some one-on-one coaching with me. And my clients really like that. I also offer the Chaos to Calm course together as a group 4 times a year. So if you want to do it yourself, you can. Or if you want to, start it and then join a group, you can do that as well. I also have a closed Facebook group that's like all supportive, so that you can reach out and say, oh my gosh, Colette, I'm starting this pantry, or oh my gosh, people, I'm starting, my family's coming, and I want to just throw everything under the sink, or I want to throw everything in the closet, but I can't, because
Yeah,
then when I open the closet, it all
yeah.
crashes out. Yeah, so I offer that as well.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you for sharing. And at this time, we're about halfway through. So just remind everyone of all the ways we can reach out to you again, please.
Sure. My website, www.organizingbyoz.com, is the best because you can book me right on the site for a 30-minute consult and get set up. I have packages available from 4 to 24-hour packages that are for either virtual or in person. And then, of course, I have, I'll show you my little books. I have my little workbook and
Yeah,
my
let me
gift
see
guide.
those.
Um,
Ah,
yeah, so these are what you get when you sign up for the e-course. You'll get these 2 books, and it's a workbook to work alongside, and then all the tips you need for your home. So how to get home organized in terms of all your spaces and the shared spaces out there. And that's all part of the package that you get when you sign up for your e-course.
wow. And where do you start though? Someone might be so overwhelmed and it's like, where do you start? I know you offer the 5 steps, but like, how does it work? Because then you're dealing with people's attachment to things. How do you let
Yeah.
go of things?
Yeah, so I help a lot of people with decision making. So the nice thing about today is we're all really big on donation. So
Mm-hmm.
I work really closely with my donation partners, and they'll send me lists of what they're currently taking. And so when a client is like, I don't know, I don't want this going to the landfill, can say, there's 5 charities, pick which one you'd like this to go to, or tell me about this. Because people slow down in their decision making when it's really emotional, and I'll say, you know what, we can either put that aside because the task today is to get this space
Mm-hmm.
tidy. So let's put it in a bin for now. And then we can spend 30 minutes next time and just focus on this pile, which is more sentimental. So it's really, because you could go down that rabbit hole and never get your pile sorted because you're lost in that memory. And then with sentimental, there's so many cool things you can do. You can do shadow boxes, you can take pictures. I know a lady who made a skirt out of all her husband's ties, all
Oh,
his work ties. I know lots of families who make pillowcases or quilts out of like special like t-shirts, all their rock concerts that they went to over their lifespan. They've created a quilt so that it's actually being used. The biggest sad thing for me is when the sentimental items are stuck in a box. then it's
Mm-hmm.
like, why are you hiding it in a box? We need to, if it's that important for you to keep, let's display it.
Yeah.
And I work with clients who have lots of collectibles. And so sometimes we'll rotate it. So they'll have a display, and then every month they'll rotate out what that theme of the month is, for their, just if they're not ready to let some things go. So there's lots of ways to keep the memory without keeping the memory, or to repurpose the memory into something that's going to be functional. Because
Beautiful.
we got to stop having
Oh,
storage bins
I know.
of stuff that is never used.
Well, I spent, well, living, I grew up on Long Island, right? So
Yeah,
it's a suburban place about an hour away from the city.
yeah,
And
been
then
there.
I moved to the city for work for many years. And,
Hmm.
but I had to pay for a storage unit.
I
Do you know the
know.
storage unit went up to like $500 a month? I couldn't even
It's
have a
such
car
wasted
because I was
money.
paying for the storage. It was like, what am I holding on to? Why do I have all this stuff? And
Yeah,
it weighs you down mentally,
it does.
physically, and it's just, ugh, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Did
And
you
our
also want to talk
kids,
more about, I know you're, besides the home organization, which, well, first I should ask, you're talking every room, every nook and cranny. You do
everything.
attics, basements,
Yeah.
sheds. Would you have a favorite area of organizing? Is it the kitchen? What is it normally?
I really love the kitchen, to be honest, because that is not just a kitchen. It's usually four different room tasks. So when I look at a room, I always ask the people I'm working with, what do you do in this room? And let's zone it out. So then you think of your rooms in terms of zones and the functions and things that you do in there. And so kitchens, it's not just cooking and eating.
Colette? Sorry, it
Home and
looks like you
so.
froze. Oh, there you are. There you go. I heard kitchens and then you froze for a second. I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
Repeat that.
Yeah, no, yeah. So kitchens, because they're so multi-purpose, like oftentimes it's your um, home office. You're working from your kitchen table. Your kids are doing their homework or they're crafting there.
Mm-hmm.
And so really helping families zone out those purposed areas. So kitchens I love, because it's every day. That's where like families and individuals, you're in there all the time doing something. And then my next favorite one is attics or garages or basements, because that's where everything just gets piled. Like it's the messy middle, I call it. And that I love, because that's like sentimental stuff. That's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've held on to this forever. And so we can have a lot of fun. Sometimes there's lots of tears because I'm dealing with grief and loss. So having the
Mm-hmm.
counseling background is also really helpful, because then I can transition my clients through that grief process in a very gentle and kind way.
Got it.
And because I don't want anyone having any regrets for what they get rid of or let go of, I should say. And then getting the kids involved, because our kids have so much anxiety because they have so much stuff, and their rooms, they don't even play in them because there's too much stuff, and they walk in, they're overwhelmed. I have so many kids tell me, I hate my room. And you're like, well, you have a room full of things. I hate it. It's too overwhelming. I can't. So we have to stop
Mm-hmm.
buying stuff for our kids. Or, with Christmas coming up and the holidays, this is a time to go with your kids and teach them how to repurpose and give back. So I'll say, these toys, when was the last time you played with them? Do you think another child would appreciate having these? Right? There's a lot of kids out there who would really appreciate these. And there's a lot of consignment places for kids' stuff. So, like my daughter, for example, she started taking way better care of her toys and her clothing
By
because
the way, how old?
she's now 18.
Okay.
Um, but when she was younger, getting her to tidy her room and stuff and take care of things, it became a money piece, because then she could consign it and she got more money because she had taken care of it and it was not like broken and dirty, right? So teaching your kids the value of respecting the things that people bring in, also working with the grandparents and saying, if you're going to bring all this stuff, you're going to sit with my kid and help them get rid of some stuff. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So having those gentle conversations with family, because we don't need all this stuff. Because then you're, like you said, you're wasting money paying for a storage locker, or you're wasting money because you've had to upsize to hold all your stuff, which increases your cost of heating, gas, like electricity, all of those things. And then the clutter and the anxiety and the depression and the fighting, it all starts to happen.
Got it. Thank you so much for sharing that. And then also you mentioned part of your services. I know we're talking about home organization, decluttering, downsizing. You also help with moves, packing up and unpacking too. And then I want to get to the
Yeah.
photo and paper organization process. That's a big one.
Yeah, actually, paper organizing is my favorite. People like, oh my gosh, the biggest one I had was literally a room, a normal sized bedroom filled with boxes of paper, 20 years worth of taxes. And I was helping a client with a brain injury, and we had permission to backdate because of his brain injury. So going through 20 years, and I was able, people were just shocked at how quickly I could get it done. Just my brain is just like a categorize and then yeah, so usually when I'm working with people in person, I'll do the work, like the pre-sort, and then I'll give them like a smaller task to make decisions on so then their brain doesn't get overwhelmed because you make thousands of decisions when you're working with me. You're deciding whether to keep it, whether where it's going to go, what the purpose is. Then sometimes there's a memory. And so if you do that for a couple hours, you can imagine the thousands of decisions, like even the ones you're throwing out in the garbage, those are still decisions. So you do get mentally tired and physically tired. Like you said, just lifting like your arms because you're not used to lifting all those bins, right?
Yeah. I'm suffering today from lifting all the bins.
I know.
It's a
Yeah,
lot. It's
it
a lot.
is.
And one thing I
Yeah.
got to say is a lot of stuff, even that I was looking through yesterday, that's, sentimental to me. Take pictures of it. You have a
Yes.
picture, you can always look at it. And
Yeah.
that's another thing. Now I'm also noticing the overwhelm with my phones being full
I
with all the pictures. So is that
yeah.
something you help with too?
Yeah, we do photo organizing and we do emails. So the clients that I've helped the most, they had 58,000 emails, and it took us about 6 months, but we got them to zero. And then we have a today folder, and at the end of the day, there I get people into routines of before you go to bed, clear that folder. And don't put it into a next one. Can it be done in like 30 seconds and then you delete it? Or yeah, and then also with pictures, again, just setting up that routine for monthly. Which ones do you want to keep? Can you put it on a hard drive? Excuse me, hard drive, and then you can do a photo book at the end of the year. Same with excuse me, same with all your kids' sentimental stuff. Have them pick their 5 best pictures of the month. Put a little frame on their wall and have them rotate it out. And at the end of the school year, say, "Hey, these are all the pictures you liked over the course of the school year. Which 10 do you want to keep?"
Yeah.
And then when they're 18, like graduated, like my daughter just did, I handed her a book of like all her artwork over her lifespan that she'd kept, but we don't have it. It's just this nice little photo book.
Ah, beautiful. Well, what else did you want to share? We only have 3 minutes left of the show. My goodness, there's so much
Yeah,
to
that's
you and the
fine.
services you offer. So where did you want to make sure we get to for today?
I just want to say when you're asking, it takes so much courage to ask for help. And just ask for help. Please don't sit and suffer. I've worked with so many people and they never asked for help because they were embarrassed. They thought they should be able to do this. Like all the shoulds, get rid of them. Just ask for help. Get your home and space organized. Your mental health is going to just be so much better. Your communication with your friends and family is going to be better. Your health is going to be get better because you're not going to be breathing in all that dust
Mm-hmm.
from the clutter, and your energy is going to just be better because you're going to walk into a space that is actually working for you. So when you're looking for an organizer, interview a few. Make sure, like, there's clients that I know I can't help because that's not my niche, it's not my area, but I have a lot of professional friends that I can refer them to.
Got
So
it.
don't
Yeah.
feel bad if you do a consult with someone, you're like just not feeling her vibe or his vibe. Go and ask someone else because you need to work with someone. Having someone in your home, whether that be virtual or in person, is a huge ask. Like you're asking someone to come in and be vulnerable with you, right? So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being here, for joining us. And let's remind everyone how we can take advantage of that free initial consultation that you offer.
Sorry for choking there.
That's okay. I got my water
Yeah.
here. I just haven't needed it yet. Usually I do.
No, you can reach me for that free 30-minute consult at www.organizingbyoz.com, and we can chat about your organizing needs and what's going to work best for your learning style.
Aw, great. Thank you so much for being here. And one more time, tell us the website.
www.organizingbyoz.com.
All right. Thank you for your time today. Have a fantastic.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.